Thank you for coming out. I just want to use this opportunity to thank Coach Casey. Today was a really difficult day for us in our organization, but I just want to use this opportunity to thank Casey and his family for a great time that he's given us last 5 years, 7 years in the organization, and 5 years that I've worked with him. We really do appreciate it, and honestly, in some instances, I think of this as some way a celebration. A great man, great coach, and it's a difficult decision to come to, but it's not something we've taken lightly, and we move on to our next phase with the Toronto Raptors. I don't know that there was a tipping point. You know, like when we go through our evaluation process, you know, like you take from day one till today, and we did our due diligence. We went through the process, and this is the decision we came up with.
So what went into that decision? What was ultimately the reason?
I think in some ways, I think the time has come. You know, like sometimes, you know, like these things come to an end, relationships come to an end, and we'll figure out a way to move on, new voice, and just knew everything in terms of that position, and it's really difficult to make this, especially in a short time from when the season ended to now. So nothing in particular that Coach Casey did wrong, but I think it was time for this to happen.
Masai, why was it important to you to make this decision as quickly as you did?
But you know, I've used the last 3 days to really evaluate, spent countless hours, worked with our team. This is not something we take lightly, but also in consideration with Coach Casey, and maybe looking at other jobs, you know, I give him that chance, be fair that way, you know, that we're not taking that chance away instead of dragging things on.
You said this is difficult. Did you speak to him in person or over the phone? And what was his reaction?
Yeah, I'd never speak to Casey over the phone with something like this, you know, like I met with him today. We've met every day. Had lunch together yesterday. What an unbelievable human being. You know, like it made it, this the hardest thing I've done in my life. I'll say it, and Bobby Webster and I went to speak to him, and I've never met anybody so that classy in my life. You know, like I don't know that I'll work. I can honestly say that I don't know that I'll work with a better person. He's just very graceful. You know, he thanked us. He appreciated his time here, and just grateful, just Casey.
Last year you talked about a culture reset. Is this the start of another culture reset with this organization?
You know, it is a start of a time. That's the honest truth. You know, when you lose your head coach, he was a figure. He was part of this great culture I feel that we've built. I think it's one of the best in the NBA, and Coach Casey was in front of it. So in that, to your question, you know, like yes, it's starting again, you know, because we've lost somebody phenomenal. We'll start that process, you know, like right after I finished here. So right now, to me, is about celebrating Casey. I feel we'll begin to attack that as soon as I leave here.
Do you anticipate any other major changes in the offseason with players?
With our roster, you know, I think that's something we're always looking at. To be honest, you know, roster changes are a little bit more difficult and more complicated. But we'll continue to grow this team as much as we like, but as much as we can. But we're not saying that this roster is perfect. There are things that we have to do. There are things that I have to do to get better, taking responsibility, like I told you guys the other day, and we'll figure that part. Just with roster changes, it just is not something that I can change today. Sometimes it takes 2 months, sometimes it takes 1 year, sometimes it takes 2 years. You know, that's just the nature of how the cap works, how the NBA works.
Is the fact that it is going to be so difficult to change your roster significantly, did that play into letting Dwane go?
No, honestly, no. We've looked at this thing from top to bottom, you know, and we know some of the things that we need to do, and we know some of the areas that we feel we can get better. And obviously, there are some things that we're going to leave till the next person comes and have that discussion, that collaboration with that person.
When do you think we can expect the announcement of who the new coach will be?
I'll start that process as soon as I leave here. I wish I could answer that question, but I couldn't give you a date.
So Kyle and DeMar both talked about the need to make adjustments during playoff basketball. I don't know if you saw those comments, but did what your players told you, some of the stuff they said after the fact, did that play at all into your decision?
I haven't talked to Kyle and DeMar outside of when I called them to tell them this. I haven't even done exit interviews with Kyle and DeMar, to be honest with you. I leave with our veterans. I have exit interviews with them later on after the emotions are all down. But I called them to tell them that that this decision has been made, you know, like, but no, they are not those type of guys that they don't come and tell me, you know, there's no negativity in our organization like that, you know. So to be honest, there was no conversation, and yeah, no, nothing like that.
What did they say to you at the side when you told them?
You could tell, you know, like everybody is, you know, a sense of you can feel, you know, there's 5 years of bond here, you know, with all these players. That's the coach they know. This is the coach we know. So you can actually like feel it, you know, like every single one that I've talked to so far.
Where are your feelings in terms of maybe going with an experienced head coach? Would you look at a first-time head coach? How open are you to those possibilities?
I'm open, you know. We'll look everywhere. I'm not dragging anything where we're looking at 50 people, you know, like we'll have hopefully a good list, but yeah, no, I'm not. I'm going to look at every instance, you know. I'm not ruling out anything. We'll do a thorough job at investigating, finding, and looking for the right person for the job.
So when you make a move like this, how does this affect the staff as well in terms of Nurse, Rex Flaming, Jamma, the rest, in terms of the assistants?
All of them are with us for now, and I'll keep it. I'm going to keep it that way. I think obviously some of them will get interviews. We're going to go through that. I don't know what specifics, but for now they remain with us in their positions.
So in your experience, what kind of impact can a new voice have on a group?
I think it'll be strong. I think this is a team that Casey has built that has had success, and I feel it didn't get us there, but I think it's credible. And in some kind of ways, it wasn't easy for Coach Casey to win the East. Like it wasn't easy to average how many wins in the last 3 years or 5 years or whatever it was. So it's a strong voice. I think whatever that person is bringing to the table has to be heard by the players and has to be heard well. I don't know that I call it like not succeeding, I always take it to where we were the 5 years and the 5 years that at least I know with working with Casey, and that's the success that hopefully, like he's been given the opportunity to have here, whether we criticize our roster, whether we criticize myself, whether we criticize anything, like that's the part that has brought us here, and we look forward to the next journey, whatever the next phase is of the Toronto Raptors.
Would you anticipate continuing on the trajectory you guys have been in terms of style of play, things like that? Are you open to a new?
No, I hope we can, because obviously you've built, you try to get those kind of players to fit that mode. So hopefully we can there's a smooth transition to that. But a new coach is going to have his style. He's going to have his own voice. So I'm not a coach, so I don't I can't comment too much on that.
Talked about his professional accomplishments over 5 years, but on a personal level, what have you learned from him, or what will you miss most about him?
Like I said, I don't think I'll work with, in terms of collaboration, I don't think I'll work with a better person. Maybe my dad, but this guy, is phenomenal. A listener, a learner, a performer, and a real person. To be honest, in our business, you finding real people, like people that look you in the eye and tell you, and like what they're telling you is what they're telling you. That's Coach Casey. He's a good man, a good ball coach.
So you might have touched on it a little bit earlier, but when he was informed today, did he understand where you were coming from?
Yes. Yeah, he completely did, and as I said, I would repeat it 100 times. Very graceful, very. He was very good. I've never done this. Just to be clear, like I've never been in this position. Like to fire a coach, and for how he handled it. Honestly, in Toronto, in Canada. Even in the NBA, we should celebrate a guy like this. I hope Coach Casey gets Coach of the Year because he deserves it. I saw everything he did here. I saw the job this year he did. He deserves it.
There are people who weren't quite clear why you had him show up here the other day and sort of speak on the basis of not knowing where he stood and justifying his job. I mean, how do you feel about that in retrospect?
Two things, like to me, when we hadn't even come close to making a decision, and honestly, like at the time, I didn't know which way it would go. That's coming from my heart. After doing all the due diligence with everybody on our staff, Bobby Webster, Teresa, Dan Tolzman, Keith, Wayne Embry, ownership, everything. You know, this is honestly, it's like it was night and this was plenty work that we had to put in, especially when you're looking at the window of other openings. Secondly, to me, I've always thought when you do things naturally, you know, like, and the natural thing for me to do always has been a press conference after we're done with the season, and I wanted to give Coach Casey that opportunity because even if we were doing something like this later, it's good for everybody to hear his voice. It's good for everybody to hear from him.
Masai, there was a report that Dwane had been seeking a 2-year extension. Was there any issue with that in respect of that? Did it come down to you not wanting to give him that extension? Is that a factor at all?
No. To be honest, no. I had no discussions, you know, and with this kind of a business, 3 months ago, you know, my dear friend Warren will call me and say, how about this or how about that, you know, with what we're doing, which is natural of any agent. I'm sure every 30 GMs go through that, and that was the conversation. And when this time came, there was nothing like that.